Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I am the Knight Rider. I am the chosen one, the mighty hand of vengeance sent down to strike the unroad worthy. I'm hotter than rolling dice.
You are hotter than rolling dice, buddy.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you. So
That's right.
so here we are.
Mad Max
here
quote,
we are.
so.
Yeah, get it. When you said Knight Rider, I was like, oh. And then it kept going. I was like, oh, I get it. So we're back. We had an unplanned break once again, as we do basically every month at this point. But we're back, and we're going to do an actual review. And today we are going to be looking at TORQ. TORQ from the rally role-playing game from Will Jobst. So listen, we are unashamedly, very loudly, we are an Adam Vast Stan podcast. We love World Champ Games. We love Adam. They're an amazing person and they make amazing shit, right? But I think we have criminally underappreciated the other half of the Brain Trust podcast, which is Will Jobst. They run Good Luck Press with Seb Pines. They've done a bunch of amazing stuff. I have so much of it, and I don't know how we haven't talked about it, but we got Black Mass here, which is amazing.
I don't have that.
Dwelling. Oh yeah, we'll get to that. That's the only one I didn't grab off the shelf. We got Dwelling and the Dwelling Edition, and not only that, real quick thing. I think just yesterday maybe they dropped a new expanded version of Dwelling, which I still need to grab from Good Luck Press. So go grab that. That's from Seb Pines, but it's also from Good Luck Press, which is fantastic. The Curios sets are amazing. I have Jasper Park and Albrecht Manor. And then I believe that this Discord has Ghost in it is with Adam, right?
It is.
Yeah. So a bunch of amazing games from Will, from Seb, and from all of Good Luck Press.
They're
and
fine.
What's up?
I was like, they're fine. I'm kidding. They're good.
Oh, yeah.
They're great. Yeah.
They're fantastic. And if you listen to the original Brain Trust podcast when they did the Kickstarter and stuff like that, that's where it's so interesting when you actually go back and listen to the Brain Trust podcast in the beginning. This game definitely started as idea here. Like that podcast was kind of like their version of like that Pixar meeting where they made like all of the good Pixar movies in like one meeting on the back of a napkin. Like, not that all of their stuff isn't also good, but like this came from that. The project that actually came from the Kickstarter, a guide to casting phantoms is from that. But if you go back and listen to that, you can hear a lot of ideas that they actually put into or made games later. So, hey, go check out the Brain Trust podcast with Adam and Will. But again, today we're going over TORQ, and you dropped the Mad Max. I'm rocking my Inferno Road shirt.
Ooh.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, I'm sure we'll talk about it next time Jerd is on, but there's a new edition of Inferno Road, which for those that don't know, it is presented by the Hobonomicon, which is a fantastic, like, weird magazine from Doug Kovacs and Wayne Snyder. The new edition you can get at Space Penguin signed by both of them. It's the Con edition, so I definitely snagged this. I have the older edition in the back. But Inferno Road is basically like an adventure down a hell road. So I figure that's the closest racing thing I have for TORQ. But that's what we're doing today. We're going over TORQ. For those that can't see, TORQ is a sideways book, shaped much like Cybermetal 2012.
A very nice shape for a book.
Also, and I don't know if this is the reason for it, because this is TORQ operator manual on it, right? So I don't know. My assumption is that had something to do with the thing of it, but every single car manual I've ever had.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Actually, they're all sideways books like this.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
That has to be a reference. It has to be the reference. I almost even brought in my car manual to be like, look, it's literally basically the same size. But yeah, so TORQ, you're a driver. This is a tabletop game for 2 to 5 players, built for single session or multi-session gameplay. And it says TORQ is 2 games built into one. And we'll talk about what that means, the road and the rest stop, when we get into the game. Beautiful book, very yellow on the cover, TORQ, TORQ. Will Jobst, Jobst, goodluckpress.co. Check out all that stuff out. But I think that's it. That's what we have to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into the actual game review, which is what we sometimes do on our game review podcast.
We occasionally review games on this game review podcast.
Every now and then. So I will say, right off the bat, we'll jump in. So Sideways book, which makes a PDF. Somewhat cumbersome for us in the way that we do our layout. For those in podcast land, you don't give a shit, but for those watching, it's not a big deal. There's a little gray bar top and bottom, but super fun. The book comes as spreads. There's no pages PDF, at least not in what you get from the itch. So when you have a book that's already sideways, and then put it into spreads, you get a very, very, very wide PDF. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's gonna lose points in usability for me, like right off the bat, because man, was that a pain in the dick to read through.
Yeah, well, I was reading it. So I was reading it on my iPad. So when I swipe too far over, it would go to the next document, and I was like, okay, well,
dude, that I literally almost moved it to its own folder so I would stop swiping into the fucking character sheet. Yeah. Regardless, though, what are your book. Yeah, it's a fantastic book. We'll get to the layout and stuff, but initial thoughts. What are your initial quick one-liner?
Oh, this seems like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's my one-liner. So
yeah, mine is that I agree. I like this game a lot. It's great. I like so much stuff about it, like the Will's attention to every detail, both in the writing and even like the logo. So even the logo looks like a car, right? Like the O and the Q are like wheels and stuff. Like everything about it is really dope. It's a really nice level of simplicity to the cover and is really striking, and I love it. This is a book that stands out a lot. Oh, I want to. Did I?
Oh, where's he going? We'll never know. He's walked away. It's just y'all. It's y'all and me now. Oh, there he is. Less exciting. Oh, you got the playmat.
I forgot to show that, so let me go back to the opening real quick, and I'll show this. So when you get the game originally, you get the playmat, and we'll go over what this means. But both Will and Adam love to do these like cloth playmats, and I love that they love doing it. Cool. They're really great. So this is the playmat for the game, which is genius in my opinion. And we'll go over that. But it's basically like a chunk of road. It's got the TORQ logo on it. It's great. I love it. And we'll get into what the fuck that means here in just a second after I fold this up.
What does TORQ mean?
What does TORQ mean?
Yeah.
Whatever it means to you, buddy. So obviously TORQ is like, a thing. What is, what?
What's the textbook definition of
define TORQ? TORQ in physics and mechanics. Yeah, it is rotational analog of linear force. What was yours? Yours was different. What were you saying?
That. It's still rotational force. Yeah, so
it's a relationship between force F, torque Q, linear momentum P, and angular momentum L in a system which has rotation constrained to only one plane.
Pretty cool.
Or it's a tabletop role-playing game for 2 to 5 people. And here we are. So jumping into layout right off the bat, I love it. Again, it's sideways. Let me actually get to that window. I love all of the pages. Will does the same kind of thing that Adam does in this book that Adam does in a lot of his, which is that every page is individually designed. There's not like a standard layout. Like there's a series where sometimes they're very similar, but like when you go to the first page on the inside of the book, it has this kind of like leather, like worn leather look to it. It reminds me of like my car manual is like a Navy. And there's like a leather stamp into it of a compass rose. And then as you scroll right, you get to the actual like kind of opening page. TORQ Rally Raid Role Playing is what it's called, by Will Jobst, edited by Seb Pines, who again is the other member of Good Luck Press. Photography, Ben Garbo. Illustration by Gabriel Reese. Playtesting from Adam Bell, Adam Bass, and Seb Pines. Those are 3 people that are great at what they do. And then
2 of them are Adams. You know.
2. Hey, listen, Adam sandwich there. Seb, the meat. So good luck press 2021. I don't know you, Seb. I apologize if it's not okay to call you the meat. I also love this next page. This kind of like not a rainbow, but kind of a rainbow road situation. It's like yellow, orange, red, blue, and then back to yellow, kind of like candy stripey thing. And it goes to our table of contents, which is unfortunately not hyperlinked. Which is so again, the issue that we're gonna have repeatedly throughout this, and you're gonna hear me say fuck a bunch. So for you in podcast land who don't understand why I'm saying fuck a bunch, it's because in order to show this on screen, since the PDF is so wide, since it's in spreads and sideways, I have it kind of chopped in the middle and I have to scroll back and forth. But if I accidentally scroll up and down, I'm gonna be jumping past even and odd pages and back and forth. It's gonna be a whole thing. So good luck with that. If you don't like cursing, learn
then
what we do on this podcast.
This show?
Yeah, like quick note for people out there: learn what this podcast is about, and listen to more than 10 minutes. Anyway, so I feel like it's weird that this is not hyperlinked because I feel like there are inline hyperlinks that like go to other pages and stuff. So it's weird that the index itself is not hyperlinked. Yours isn't, right? I mean, you're using the same file that I am.
It's not. Yeah.
So for this book to be 94 pages and not have hyperlinks on the index kind of sucks. And I also don't think it has bookmarks. Oh, it actually does have bookmarks.
Oh,
so
no, it does have bookmarks. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Hyperlinks would also be nice, but at least for bookmarks, it kind of, it works a bit. I love there's a map of content on the side, and it has like a 0, 100, 1000, like 200, like 20x or whatever, like it is a map of, like the distance and stuff. But we have introduction, making drivers, road, enemies, obstacles, and events, rest stop, tools, ticket generator, loot, rest stop again, and speed running. So we'll go through all of that. We got a beautiful spread here of a road just going off into the distance. And it says, this game is dedicated in part to the nasty little piece of road called the one-lane bridge. Wrought iron trellis caging a too small street for cars and pedestrians and cyclists. The long drop down with Parkway intersecting its giant arch. The way the bricks would like to fall below. The myth of the 100 mile per hour you could hit on it if you timed the lights right. The signal... 1 mile to your home, exactly. I eat the dust of the weird world, motes on the wind, unbothered by my trivialities. The tectonic shift of blacktop, balding tires, and patience. Drivers in formation, finger 4, convoy, or caravan. Screaming to the next rest stop, tape decks melting in the rotten sunlight. Cars. Cars, if you can call them that. Cars on ripping hot vertices against the world.
Yeah,
bro. So Will can fucking write.
Yeah, he definitely can write.
Yeah, a lot. There's some other stuff there out, and you'll notice like the way that Will writes it's great. It's great all the way through. Extremely enjoyable to read. Really helps with the vibes of the way it is. So yeah. Good job. Big fan. So introduction. We'll cruise through this a little bit. You race along the open road, collect the pieces of a changed world, and build something new together. You're a driver with a license to go anywhere and the grit to handle anything. There's gas in the tank, an X on a map, and open road for miles. Again, this just fucking hits. Bangers.
It really does.
Yeah.
It keeps hitting all the way through too.
It really does. This is a post-apocalyptic racing role-playing game for 2 to 5 players over the course of 1 to 3 hours for single session or episodic play. It called itself 2 games in 1. It is.
It's 2 modes of play.
That's exactly. I'm not a big fan of. They kind of really leaned into this 2 games in 1 thing, but I definitely felt like it's like it feels better to call it 2 modes because you're not going from one game to another game. It's the same game, it's just a different mode.
It's like I'm not playing a car game and then the next I'm playing like a dungeon diving dragon game. Like it's just you're in a car for one part and you're not in a car for one part.
Yeah. Well, and it's fine to call it that, but I'm glad that we both had the same thought where it's just like, actually, it feels more like modes, but whatever. So it's a mix between a board game and a role-playing game, which it really is when you do the road mode, but it still transitions back in. And I really, really enjoy that a lot. I like when a game can just be a different mode where you don't have to like try to pretend that like 5e is all the same fucking mechanics the entire time. Like just play a different game. That's one reason I love Forbidden Psalm so much is you can play it as an RPG. When you hit combat, you can play it as a skirmish style.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have several ideas of games in my head that have this 2 mode thing that I'm like, that doesn't work. But this is a great example of having a 2 mode thing and it being like fairly seamless and working really well together. I think another example, I think of a good one is like Kingdoms has that kind of like zoomed in, zoomed out.
Yeah, 3 modes and multiple layers. Again, one of the best games we've ever reviewed. I will say, this is one that immediately goes onto our side quest list because I want to play this fucking game so bad.
I would love to play this. So,
and the other thing too is like it's GM-less if I remember, so like we can just fucking do it. Like
there's the TORQ AI that tells you how enemies react,
which I love. Yeah, the only good AI. Stop destroying the environment for your shitty pictures with 6 fingers and weird boobs. TORQ is a mix between board game and role-playing game. The board game part is the actual road, which we use the map for, which you showed already. And the role-playing part is the rest stop, which is when you actually like stop and interact with the world and the NPCs and stuff like that in a different way. So the world is weird, gone sour. It's hard to not read some of this stuff, but it's great. So TORQ's world exists after a global change. Is a disaster, an apocalypse, a choice. Create and play vignettes of this weirded world, a world where people and communities strike a truce with a hostile environment, surviving and thriving in the post-Anthropocene. TORQ's world is more humanistic than its post-apocalyptic predecessors. This is not a game for a prepper power fantasy, gun nut brinksmanship, or a rehash of feudalism. TORQ's world is one of many communities living independently, tied together by the drivers who make it from point A to point B, mutual aid in the weird world. I really love that. So I you know me, I am grimdark to my deep dark, black heart.
You're a total piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Garbage edgelord, right? But this game is very much like, it literally just says there, it is not that thing. This is not Mad Max in that sense. This is, the world is kind of separated. Technology might be not where it was, and what pulls it together. It gives, what it gives me a tiny sense of is Postman with Kevin Costner. Postman.
Haven't seen it. Sorry,
bro. Okay. Anyway, so and basically drivers keep these communities connected, and the communities are trying to thrive and rebuild and things like that. So it's not post-apocalyptic in that like you're worried about zombies and like everything's falling apart. Right. It literally is supposed to be like, again, it says mutual like aid and yeah. It's like Death Stranding. Yeah. But I guess you could have a weird baby in a bubble as an item.
No, it's more about couriers keeping people connected.
Yeah, and I really like that aspect of this game where it literally is like, this isn't supposed to be a game about ultraviolence and weird, like it says, not post rehashing feudalism and power fantasy bullshit. I really like that it's more of just like, hey, this is about community. So how to use this book? Read it. I'm not going to read this part. It's good, but you should read that part. Rules of the road. The world is unkind. Against that unkindness, a special agreement lives throughout every hub of life. Some people get licenses. So if you get a license as a driver, you are basically accepted in communities. That acceptance can have varying levels, but you are allowed to drive on the road. You are allowed to go to these communities, and that's kind of how it works. To be licensed is to adhere to the rules of the road.
I like that it's not like a blanket ticket. That you're just like, you're licensed, you're allowed to be anywhere at all times. Everyone loves you. It's like, no, realistically, like some places you'll be like really appreciated because you bring supplies or news, and some places you might be just tolerated because you bring supplies or news.
Exactly. In TORQ, you determine the rules of the road before you start playing, and you can change them as they go. So there's 3 different kind of. Oh, wait a minute. I think I scrolled down instead of sideways. I did. Don't remind me to scroll sideways instead of down.
Sorry.
Items needed.
Item needs to play, so I thought we were just not doing that part. So
stuff.
Stuff. You need the stuff.
You need the stuff to play a game. I will say there are some links here. So the tiny URL to the X card from John Stavropoulos is linked.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Williams Itched and goodluckpress.co, I think.
Yeah,
is
those are
also,
linked,
yeah.
which then hyperlink the index. Whatever. There is a little in thing, a nice blue, a very beautiful blue. I really like this blue a lot.
Very nice, very pleasurable to look at.
It basically says the playmat is compatible with Matchbox cars. So,
which is fucking sick, by the way. So
cool.
Great, such a great fucking thing. It's like, yeah, you can go to like Walmart and get pieces to play this game. I'm like, that's amazing.
For dirt cheap. Like the cheapo Matchbox are like so inexpensive. So anyway, so back to rules of the road. There's 3 different kinds of play here. So the top 3 are always the same in Convoy, Fast, Furious. No ampersand here. And Death Race. Without Jason Statham. So the top 3 rules are always: I can stop at any time for any reason without question. I can veto any content or description in this game by using the X card, and I'm safe at the rest stop. For all 3 of these modes, those 3 rules are the same. The next ones are there's 3 more each. It's I look out for and protect my fellow driver. In Fast and Furious, it's I look out for my fellow driver, but I come first. And in Death Race, it's I'm out for my fellow driver. And that kind of gives you a sense. Yeah. Convoy in communities, I'm welcome. I can relax and refuel. Fast and Furious in communities, some treat us like their own. You can relax and refuel, however, and help however you can. And in Death Race, it is in communities, I'm bad news. I can relax and refuel however I can. So clearly, there's there's levels to this shit. And the last one is Convoy's rated PG, no guns. The world is strange and apathetic. Fast and Furious is rated PG-13s. Guns are an extreme rarity. Our world is weird and stubborn. And Death Race is rated R. Guns are available, but ammo is an extreme rarity. Our world is bad and mean. So I feel like the game is kind of designed for Fast Furious.
I agree. It's like nice to have the options, depending on your group. And I think that all 3 of those are incredibly playable. You could definitely get them to work. But yeah, this game definitely is to be played as, it seems like native Fast Furious.
Like the middle.
Fast and Furious, but that's wrong.
Fast comma. Yeah, I feel like the middle round is way. I would love to play all 3. We know we don't even need to say which direction I would go to. But the other thing to talk about the layout a little bit. First of all, the font, extraordinarily readable. I love it. The game being sideways gives you so much room to kind of like play with the layout a little bit. So there's like long ways and then multiple columns. But I love that across both pages, which is probably one of the reasons that we'll put this out as just a spreads PDF, is that a lot of them are designed as spreads across both pages. Yeah. Like this page, for example, literally from like 3 to 4, there's this blue shape that comes down on 3 and over into 4 as like a box. And it's beautiful the whole way through. Fantastically done. It says, if you're playing for the first time, try Convoy. If you're looking for a hardcore challenge, go Death Race. For a little bit of both, try Fast Furious. It continues to talk about like calibrating the rules to your game, everything like that. There's a section here on writing your own game. So rules are formed as I statements, like I can stop any time, I can veto, make that work for your game. And then there is player versus player options. The roads have plenty of spoils for the winner and some collateral damage. There are options you can do. Either players don't attack other players, or players can attack but not kill, or players can kill. Like, again, it's extremely customizable for the style of world and game you want to play in, and it's really enjoyable because it doesn't feel heavy,
Absolutely.
Rules of the road. Community Sanctuary. TORQ is a game about connecting communities. So, again, still talking about like getting the game to the way you want. You could have we can roll out the welcome wagon. Communities can keep their distance. You can be hated but tolerated. Again, a lot of this is just about building the world you want to play in. Content, again, asking what level of style of content you want to play. There is a box here that says, no matter the rules, drivers who kill other drivers will have their license revoked if the secret gets out. This can be compelling gameplay, but make sure you're all on the same page beforehand. photography all the way through too. I love that they use like real pictures of cars.
This is a great piece right here, and how like I like the way that the lines and veils paragraph is around the photo. I love the vibe of this whole book. It has a lot of stuff like this. I'm like, this is great. This is really good.
So vibey. I really wish, I think we talked about it a little bit with Perils and Princesses, how they really did a lot of like the art actually like in the text. So the text would wrap around it as opposed to just do a couple of columns and stick it on the bottom. Like you can make your page look so much more dynamic with the same words and the same stuff if you just like bring it up in and like wrap the text around. And this one definitely very much does so with a lot of the art.
Strong agree.
So lines and veils, they exist. You know what they are. Yeah. If you don't, just look up lines and veils.
If you started listening to this recently and you're like, these guys never talk about lines and veils, it's because we did for the first like 40 episodes, and then they're in every game. We're just like, you know what, you as the GM and players have responsibility to know this information. So read it.
Yeah, lines, veils, X card, safety tools. There's a whole website for safety tools. Use them. If you think you don't need them, you're wrong. At least have a conversation.
Yeah, you should definitely talk with your table because people feel differently about things.
Yes. So I looked up Eschaton before, and I thought it was a fantastic word. So Eschaton, this is no Eschaton. Eschaton is the last thing. It's used in theology to refer to the climax of history, culminating in the last judgment. So this is saying there is no last judgment, which there isn't. So that's cool. So there's a whole page here of just fantastic, beautiful writing on page 7. No easy answers, no divinity, no Eschaton. I'm not going to read the like 5 paragraphs that are here, but just know that Will's writing is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I will say I did notice. There are some grammatical errors throughout the book. As in like some missing letters, some like extra spaces, some missing punctuation and things like that. So I'm not going to point out a ton of them as we go through, but there are some throughout. So no Eschaton. Again, great spread. I love that they put Eschaton on this page.
I love the jumble, like it's falling, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like all the color fell out of it, and then it's just the hollow one. Yeah, it's beautiful. Again, the spreads are amazing. A fantastic piece of art here of a driver with just a beat to shit car and this nice lady serving him like a soda in the window.
Hoods just being peeled away chunk by chunk. It's
broken window. Like it's a beauty. It's an absolutely stunningly beautiful piece. I really love this a lot. This piece in and of itself, I was like, oh, like if I didn't have the vibe already, which I did, like this is perfect. Like he just looks so nice, and she's just like so happy to give him a soda, you know. It's cool. So moving into making drivers. The drivers go fast, stay alive, and rule the road. You are drivers. You have special abilities and skill sets. How does that line go? Like you have a specific set of skills.
I have a specific set of skills. Yeah.
You stole my daughter. And then you stole my daughter again, apparently, because there's like 4 movies.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You stole my daughter. Prepare to die. That's how it goes, right? That's that.
Yeah. Because Inigo Montoya has a special set of skills. He's ambidextrous, you know. So making drivers, you make them. I will say this is one of those games where I was like, I wish I would have got a little bit more of the mechanics before a very big making the driver section, because when I was making the driver, like there were a bunch of questions I had about the system, and this reminds me of why I like at least like a quick rules intro, because at this point in the game you don't know anything about the mechanics of the game whatsoever. So as you start to like pick things, you don't really know what they're used for, and that's always my issue with character creation. Obviously you're going to read through it and then read it again to do character, but it's nice on the first go round to like understand as you go through.
I agree. So there's 2 different routes for making drivers, right? There's, or you did something else you're going to do?
No, go for it. No, go for it.
There is hard charging for quick starts. Then you have the scenic route for more detailed character creation. And the kind of note here is in the scenic route, there's like a roster of like pre-made characters that have like their own like very unique traits to them that you can kind of embody and like role play as these people. And there's some pretty good ones. I wish there were more, actually. But yeah.
We'll just have to get TORQ add-ons, you know. The cool thing about those drivers in the scenic route when we get to them is that you can make more of your own because all of the tools and stuff to make them are already there. They basically use the tools in the book and give you those ideas. So at the very least, they do explain like how to make more of your own, which is always cool. It's always nice to leave room for people to do.
It's definitely not hard to do. Like reading them, you're like, there's characters are fairly simple in this game. They're interesting and they're cool and they have like facets to them, but they are, you know, simple. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And I like that. I don't need 400 pages.
No, I want a 400-page book. I want to know everything about the character.
So yeah,
I want to know the history of their homeland. You know, what city were they born in? What's that city like?
Well, I was gonna figure that out. So a couple of random tables on the next page. I gotta say, this is one of my favorite spreads in the entire book. It's so good.
This fucks so hard, honestly.
No, it's so good.
The choices that you can get when you roll, because I rolled a few times, they're great. They're so funny. They're interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed this. And then I think in a couple pages when we get to the like livery of your car and stuff, I was like, all of this is so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
Several pages are a treat of like the art of layout. They're so nice to go through, and they're very like vibey, and they're almost inspirational of like how you could push your own like ideas about how to lay out a book.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic the whole way through. So these four are all car things, right? So you get the dash, and then there's a picture of a dash, and then there's the back, and there's a picture of the back of a Volkswagen, and then there's the hood, and then there's the chassis. So it is a lot of the game throughout the entire thing is 2d6 roll tables, which, my God, if you want a direct line to my heart, you just make your game 2d6, you know. So do you want to roll? Do you want to roll up some shit? To. So it's 2d6. So it's 6 tables with 6 each. So it's 36 options. So you roll a 6 and a 6, and you go to the table, then you go to the table. So what'd you get?
So for my dash, I got 4, 5, all sorts of loose batteries.
Just rolling around, D batteries, C batteries. Yeah.
Okay, and then for the back, do you want to roll back?
No, you go for it. I'll just throw in some other random ones. Dash 1-1 is one of my favorite. Human skull with the GPS.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's gotta be one favorite. Yeah.
For back, I got 4-3. I rolled another 4. 4-3 unread books. So just I have a bunch of loose batteries in the front of my car, and the back of my car is just a ton of books.
It's unread books. Yeah. The 1-3, the Teenage Stowaway Bucko. That's a fun one. Or the fish tank for your octopus Lordo.
A 4-1 slime that.
Yeah.
Just perfect.
So good. And then for the what's under the hood?
Oh wait, 5 is analog synth. That's cool. I didn't see that one. Okay, under the hood. I got 1, 2, Satan.
Satan under the hood. Fuck yeah. A lot of these under the hood ones are really great because you got like the concept of rage.
That's a really good one.
The concept of rage is good. And then there's a couple other ones that I really loved a lot. Like there's one in there one that says like nothing.
Yeah, neutron chamber is a good one. Is there one? Yeah, nothing at all is 4.
Is under the hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's just empty under the hood, bro. It just runs.
4 is miracles. It just runs on miracles. You know, so it's so fun. These are so good. And then chassis. What's the look of your chassis?
6-1 alien.
It looks like an alien. That's sick.
Like truly alien vehicle. You know.
Yeah. A couple other good ones. There is overcompensating. There is double wide, worn out, goth, all biz. So a lot of really great, just really funny ones on there. And again, the spreads are really fantastic.
I think the first time I rolled it, I got low ride, which I'm like, nice, you know, being from Texas, as I am.
Yep. Yeah. So what did you end up with for your whole car? You got
for my whole car,
loose batteries in the front.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got unread books in the back. Oh fuck, what was under my hood?
Satan
was under my hood. That's right.
Can't forget our Lord and Savior.
But it has an alien look to it, so I have some like weird alien demon car. You know?
Yeah, very eldritch. Yeah. So there's a picture of the character sheet, which is cool. And then I love this next page because it takes pictures, like chunks of the character sheet, and then gives you a detailed list with arrows pointing to which part, and then gives an explanation for what each part is. Like, this is how to explain how your character sheet works.
Please, people, do more of this. I prefer this, I think, to the whole, like, your character sheet's on there, it's got numbers next to it, and you go to, like, the next page, and then I have to read through all the numbers, and I gotta flip back to look at it, you know. This is great. My favorite one's Horn.
Dude, the horn is so funny.
Just for honking.
just for honking. Because the character sheet looks like a steering wheel going across, right? And then the stuff is in the background of the steering wheel, but obviously on the steering wheel is the horn honk symbol. And the explanation, just for honking is fantastic. So you get HP, you get your character and vehicle details, you get rest stop details, you get road actions, and you get horn. So in TORQ, you are your car. To that end, like your HP and stuff, we'll get to that as all together. All the details go on there. So name, vehicle, look, registration, all that stuff goes on there. And then the rest stop stuff we'll get to is on there. And then the road action you can do. So everything you need. And it's very beautiful, vibey sheet. Really well done. I love how well this explains every part. So really great. And then we get to a page that has like a blue engine in the back with like the whole, like all the tubes, all the tubes and wires and rotors.
I don't know. I don't know shit about cars. So.
I don't know shit about cars. My car drives mostly. So you are your car. In TORQ, your body and vehicle are represented by horsepower, which is HP, which that tickled me pink.
Amazing use of HP.
Yep. You get health, you get crashes, and you get speed. So health is denoted by pips, which is just a dot. Crashes are denoted by a bracket, which is basically like an L, a capital L, with little hooks. And then speed is your 0 to 60, which is a number from 2 to 12. Lowest being faster, because it's your 0 to 60 speed, so lower is better because it means you're faster, right? I'm okay with like the whole dot bracket thing. I think it's like you could also just do like 1-2, like 3-4, but like it's fine. It's interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting. I don't think it's like the most optimized thing ever, but I don't think that's like the ambition of it. It is interesting and it does look kind of cool. So I'm fine with it.
So the full expression is crashes, health, and 0 to 60, represented by your HP. To generate HP, you roll 2 6-sided dice and add them together. So roll some HP real quick.
9.
9. Okay, so your raw number, your 0 to 60 is 9, which is high. So it's interesting because that means that you're going to have more like crashes and health, but you're slower. So someone who rolled 1, gosh, you're a glass cannon, but you're going to go first every fucking time, right?
Well, you can't roll 1. You can roll 2.
Two. Okay, so you are your car. So it says, and there's an example here, a roll of 3 and a 4 is a 7. So total 0 to 60 is 7. So you are your car. Likewise, health is nested in crashes. So 1 health, and it took me, I had to go back and read this again. So 1 health in 1 crash looks like this. It's the pip inside a bracket. Every crash needs health in it, but multiple health can go into a crash. Spend points from the original result to build your driver. Health and crashes cost 1 point each. Put health into crashes and then write your 0 to 60 afterwards. So the way, using that 3, 4, and 7 example, they decided to do 4 pips and 3 crashes, right? So they did a bracket with a pip, another bracket with 2 pips, a third bracket with a pip, and that's all of their health. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pips, 5, 6, 7 for 3 crashes, a 7 at the end. And that is how your character, that's your character. That's how it looks. Yeah. And then there's different ways.
For mine, I would do 5 pips in 4 crashes because I roll a 5 and a 4. So I would give me 4 crashes. I'd do probably 2 in the first one and then 1 in all the rest of them.
Yeah, it doesn't really, I guess it kind of matters a little bit after that because of the way that like when you get collided, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
because empty stuff matters. TORQ is concerned with how many times characters can crash, how much health they have, and how fast they are. Obviously, it's literally the 3 things that you have. HP is narratively flexible, so it can represent a bunch of stuff. So reallocating HP. During any rest stop, you can reallocate HP and switch up your arrangement of health and crashes, which is cool. Basically, every time, if you're just like, man, I fucked this up a little bit, it's nice that they're not like, you can only do this on level up or whatever. Like, I like that you can just be like, nah, fuck it, just change it. Why not? So the hard charging section, this is the arcade mode, as we said. Here you roll 2d6, and this is your registration. And then you roll to determine your HP, and then take the corresponding moves on the next page. If you want to spend some time developing your drivers and relationships with the world, you can. You can take the Cena route, page 23. Again, it's not inline hyperlinked. It's totally possible to do hard charging and do deeper role-playing elements. It's just quicker to go. So there's a spot here that says rest stop, roll 2d6, and then number 2, add results together and take the corresponding registration activity. So there's it's got 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11 and 12 as the tables. So roll 2d6 and tell me what you get.
I got 10. I got snap. With your portable darkroom, you photograph the here and there. The activity is at every rest stop, capture a special moment for your photo book.
Cool. So the registration is the top part. So snap is your registration, and then like the part underneath is kind of like who you are. So you're obviously a photographer, right? And you get a dark room. Some of the other ones are like perfumer. The aroma of the post-Anthropocene is yours to collect. There's one that's like a rain dog. Weird weather is your game, chasing storms of any stripe. So it's the vibe of your character and kind of like their like kind of core personality bits, and then the activity that goes associated with it for the rest stop. These next 2 pages, my goodness, they're so good.
They are.
So this is kind of like the build for the characters. So you've got the makings of a driver, give them the name and stuff like that. So you want to give an explanation here on the side. So roll 2 6-sided dice, determine your HP, take your stock stunts and pick custom stunts. So this is the stunts page, right? So you already have your HP, right? Which it is weird that they kind of tell you to determine your HP twice on the stunts page and on the registration page. But roll your 2d6 to figure out your stunts.
Yeah. Okay. So I got a 2.
Okay.
So I got experimental.
Experimental.
Yeah. It's a cool one. So I take both. I can inflict 2 health to any target, and I can launch everything in current tile. And then I get to pick
stock.
one.
That's your stock option.
Yeah, it's my stock. And then I get to pick one from the customs. I get to pick one. Heal 2 health on the row, or ignore next crash, or swap any tile. Ooh, that's pretty good. I think I do ignore next crash.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then each one also has a little blurb for experimental. Yeah. So what does experimental one say there?
This hypothetical vehicle defies a known law or 2.
I mean, you have an alien car.
I do. I have an alien car with Satan under the hood.
With Satan under the hood. I mean, obviously it defies some shit. So there's experimental, turbo, sturdy, stubborn, nimble, streamlined, fortified, hulking, and industrial. And for each one you
industrial.
Dude, industrial so good. Car's like a bunker. Yeah. It rocks 9 Inch Nails all the time. So for each one you do get the 2 stock options, you know, to the moon. And then you get to pick one of the customs. So that changes when you do the scenic route. It kind of just gives you the stuff that you need. So that's it. So that's kind of your car, your driver, everything as far as that goes. The last thing is your livery, which again, this page is so fucking amazing. So there's actually...
God, it's a great page.
So it's another 66 for your livery, but it has a strip of design for every single livery on the entire thing. So what did you get for your 2d6 on this?
2. I got carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber. So you get this nice carbon fiber design right here. There are some really, like the hypothetical one I love. Like the number 1 of each one actually is on a car. And the rest are like stripes and stuff like that. But the hypothetical one, it's like it looks like almost writing on a chalkboard of like math and like crazy shit. Really dope. Obviously, I'm gonna like the heavy metal
Paper
one with like the skeleton.
Bro.
Dude, the paper cup one fucks. I thought the cupcake, the ice cream one before I read it was like pills, but it's just like really zoomed in sprinkles on ice cream.
CRT is really cool too.
The what?
The CRT 6.4. It's the purple yellow kind of like.
Oh yeah. I also really love the which one is the one that is brand deal? And it's TORQ. It's TORQ is like the branded one. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. Like, so you got, so what did you get? You got the carbon fiber, which I mean, for an alien car that defies law and physics with Satan under the hood, you know, carbon fiber.
It's the most normal thing about my car, honestly.
Realistically, yeah. I mean, yeah. And all the batteries, right? Okay, so scenic route, again, this changes a little bit different. So for a longer game, you can add some specificity to your driver. You take the scenic route. Each character can only be chosen by one player because they're one of a kind. They're already pre-built kind of characters. You basically choose it, you pick your name, the look, the vehicle, all that kind of stuff. So it says, let's take a look at each of the elements that make up the scenic route. A lot of it's going to be the same. So you get a starting package, which is a unique advantage that the driver has, which are stock and custom stunts. In the rest stop section, the driver has special abilities to go over. The scenic route driver has special goals called checklist scenes, and these are iconic moments that take place during the story. And then for every 2 checklist scenes, you get a reward, and rewards include a community-wide event that you get to put on. And every driver has a last ride, which is that's the sunset. Players have both rewards and can choose to sunset their driver. So this is a way to actually like kind of like complete the life of your driver, is to get your rewards by doing the things to achieve your goals, and then actually decide like you're gonna drive off in the sunset or pick a community you like and stay there and things like that. You can also roll 2d6 to determine how many numbers in the vanity plate if you want to do that, which is great. Love it. So
Four.
As far
4,
as,
by the way, only 4.
That's how many. So how many letters in your vanity? What's your vanity plate say then?
It just says.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah. So the drivers are Aggie, which is, it says your seeds are sown to the world. So basically, you're very much like an agricultural person.
Yeah. Their names are definitely what they are.
Oh, absolutely. Archive is basically you're a librarian, so you go around being a library. Modem is the feed bringer. You connect communities to a ragged mesh net. You got speaker box, woofers, tweeters. You are the sound bringer. You got woes. It says you're a zoo on wheels studying living things. And those are all the options. So which one was your favorite? And we'll kind of go through just one of these.
Modem.
Yeah, modem's dope.
Yeah, modem's dope. So modem, feed bringer. You connect communities to a ragged mesh net where people across the wounded world can link up. You are a modem. You carry the connection, and at every rest stop, you stitch together the world, if just for a moment. For starting package, group chat. At the end of every round, give any driver 1 health. Pretty good.
And that's specifically, so the starting package. So what I love about the page too is it keeps us kind of like blurb, skinny thing, blur, like the bracket kind of thing a bunch. So you have the road, the stock, the custom, and the rest stop options. So the starting package, that thing is always just for the road option.
It's funny how non-traditional it is and still broken up really well. I mean, like layout wise. So, and by non-traditional, I just mean not what everyone else is doing. But it's still broken up in the way that you can very easily read it and understand it. So for stock options, we take both of these. I have jailbreak, which you can lock or lure on target. Incognito, which is cloak self.
So real quick, so this is what I was talking about going through character creation and stuff like that. Like lock or lure means fucking nothing to me at this point in the game.
Yeah, I get it. So like you can kind of, you know what luring something is, you know what lock is, you can kind of make it guess, but it'd be cool to have. I get it. For custom, this one's like, what does it mean to send something to rally, right? Timeout, send any target to rally. Or you pick one. A hotspot, slag any tile, kind of slaps, or buffering, drag any column. So
dope.
Yeah.
And what the other thing too I like about this page is that like the two quote unquote games, aka the modes, the one mode is all on the left and the other mode is like all on the right. So like the road stock and custom is all on the left for the road mode, and then the rest stop section is its own to the right. So even without like explicitly saying that, like that's just how it lined up, which is really great.
Yeah. So for the rest stop stuff, the activity, you ask yourself, well, what's something you do to help everywhere you go? And there's the checklist scenes reformat is the title of yours. The options are collect, digitize, and memorialize a late artist's work. Connect a recluse to their friend and join them for their monthly online meeting. Next one is trace the signal of an anonymous online bully. Beat the fuck out of them. Fuck bullies. And also the next one is repair a surely destroyed hard drive and return its memories to the community. If you do these things, the rewards, host an online gaming festival for the community, bolstering spirits, or bringing together the drivers and set up a dating friendship profile for everyone. Remake Facebook in this post-apocalyptic world. Make it worse.
Yeah, give me Zanga,
Yeah, that would slap actually. So and then your sunset. And when you've completed all of them, find somewhere cozy and start that podcast you've been thinking about.
There you go. I will say there's one that kind of like I was like, in the speaker box, the sunset is collect the last pieces for a high-powered radio station and set it up somewhere high and safe. Spread the signal. I don't know why spread the signal always felt like it feels more modem-y to me as kind of like I'm thinking of signal as like the internet versus like noise. It absolutely works, but yeah, no, I get it. The only one that I was just like, okay, so that is basically most of character creation. We'll get to some other stuff. So you can also roll another 2d6 for your steering wheel. Yeah. So roll that up.
I rolled a 3-3 airplane configuration. What the fuck's going on with my car?
You got like the thing, and then roll again to see where it is.
Oh God. This one's added together, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
9. It's in the trunk.
So the only problem with the roll 2 6-sided dice and add them together for where's the wheel is you can't roll a 1, but 1 is on here.
It's very funny. The left side. It'll never be on the left side of the car.
That actually cracks me I honestly thought it was a mistake for a second, but that's absolutely on purpose because that's where it is, and that's where it can never be, and that is so fucking funny. Actually, like obviously not a mistake, and it literally is just telling you no, you can never have it where it's supposed to be, which is great. Some of the other awesome steering wheel options are
is there roof mounted? Is that one of them?
Yeah, the non-skull bones, biological. Joystick. But some of the other options that are great is hypothetical. You have a hypothetical steering wheel, which is great. A
special set of gloves,
Yeah, and that's it. A glass case that says "break in case of driving." And then the far right side of that panel is a gorgeous picture of a steering wheel. Again, just spreads for days that are just absolutely beautiful. There's a GPS page. It says some of these wrecks have global positioning in them. Take a look on our own. There's nothing funny with the device. Taking a look on our own, there's nothing funny with these devices. Receiver with 16 channels, tuned to eat the signal of now dead satellites. The chipsets are worth nothing. Now dead isn't quite right. Some of this orbital flotsam came down. Okay, anyway. So it's writing, it's not description. So it's a big what to do when these meet the dirt. So basically it's saying that like low-flying satellites sometimes fall to the ground, and people want to go scavenge those. And then there's 3 kind of things blocks on the other side. With the destination mine, drivers can get there. The road just chooses how. And hypothetically, here's the plan. And it says kind of how the game goes. Gut a drone, bring the chipsets to a techie, pull a star from the sky, deliver a transponder to 3 communities, set up the route solidifies. So this is kind of like an adventure without saying, hey, this is an adventure. It is kind of
weirdly an adventure. I also love it's like pull a star from the sky and drag it home. Good fucking luck.
Yeah. I didn't read the best part. Yeah. It's kind of randomly Like, that's how I read it, is like this is randomly listed an adventure in the game.
It's kind of a little adventure fuel. I don't think I minded how it's kind of thrown in here. It's just like a little blurb about like, what about GPS for your car? It's like, oh yeah, what about GPS? Well, here's what is about GPS, and it kind of like gives you a little fuel for later on. Like, hey, maybe this is a thing that you guys get into, you know?
Yeah, that's dope. Another beautiful spread from one page to the other. The road and the rest stop. TORQ is made of 2 games. We talked about this. Road is road, rest stop's rest stop. So the road, so there's a picture on the far left here. This is the playmat, which is fantastic. So going over a little bit, it is a curved part of what looks like a NASCAR or is it F1 road. It's curving. It's got like the black and white like lines on the inside, the wall of the outside. There's 3 kind of like position things at the top, and it's basically a grid. It's like a tic-tac-toe board with a little curve to it. And this represents the road and your position on it. And I love the way that it works, because that's all you really need, because it's representative of the road always moving and you moving on it, and just your position on the road and the road always moving forward, kind of like in a side scrolly kind of way, right? So the road is a 3x3 grid. It's an abstract map representing a pack of cars. The road has 3 sections. There is the road, which is the actual grid. There's the rally, which is the bottom of the road, which would be like the behind you. And there's the head, which is the top of the grid. And that is what's coming next. It's stylized as a grid. You can always just play on a grid. That's fine. And there are 4 things on the road. There's drivers, events, obstacles, and enemies. And we'll get to those. So starting positions are 2 ways to set up the road. If you're playing through an episode, read the episode startup. It'll tell you, right? Or you place enemies, then place events and obstacles, and then place players in order of fastest to slowest in your 0 to 60. And at the start, tiles can only contain 1 player, 1 enemy, and 1 event. But during play, tiles can hold up to a maximum of 3 occupants and 1 event and 2 obstacles. So it can get pretty hectic.
Very busy. Potential to be very busy.
Very busy. So the road, there are roads, the rounds and turns. So the road phase is structured into turns and rounds. Basically, every player gets to do a thing, right? Taking action on the road. On the road, drivers have 2 actions. You can use actions to move, collide, attack, perform a stunt, whatever you want to do. You get 2. An enemies act within 0 to 60 alongside the drivers. Enemies with the same 0 to 60 act in file order. And there's a we'll talk about that in a second. And the TORQ AI, the road is powered by a simple AI that powers enemies, obstacles, and events. So it basically tells you like in what order they'll go and like how they're going to react. And we'll get to that. So round procedures basically goes drivers and enemies go first. And then it's they act from 0 to 60. Lowest going first, highest going last. Road flow, which is the next would be drivers and enemies. All drivers and enemies that didn't move shift backwards 1 on the tile, and then you resolve any collisions. And then part 3, the road flow, is obstacles and events move. So all obstacles and events shift backwards 1 tile, and you resolve any collisions. So drivers and enemies all get to do a turn. And then the road kind of moves forward. And if you didn't move, you go backwards on the road. It's basically you're just like kind of like slowing down. And then everyone does that. And if you hit anything, you resolve it. And then after everyone does that, the obstacles and events do that too. And then you resolve if that hits anything. It's so good. Basically at the end of every round, you just move in the road.
The road is actively moving. It's the illusion of the road being moved. You know, I think it works really well.
It is so. I love it. To me, it is so incredibly clever, and I want to play it so bad. Like it's so. As soon as it was like, oh, like it's always moving, and you're just like flowing on it. Like I was just like, this is so fucking cool. So the road flow, there is a fantastic set of images and graphics on the side that talks about the road flow. Like it literally gives you what the road layout is. So like the drivers, the events, because there's little icons for each. Drivers are a D in a circle, enemies are an E and like a not pentagram, whatever. And then at the end of the round, it shows all of the things moving down. And giving you the flow. And it also talks about obstacles in your tile, obstacles entering enemy tiles, events in your tile, everything. So it goes through all of that in a great graphic way that makes it incredibly easy to understand. So when obstacles enter your tile on your turn, you pay the price or take the penalty. When obstacles enter the enemy file, enemies immediately take the penalty, and the event enters your tile. You immediately choose to engage with the event and move it and yourself to rally, or ignore the event. And if an enemy enters your tile, you both collide. See the next section. I think I had a question at one point about like what you're paying. And remind me to make sure we go over that, because it says pay the price, but what are you paying? You know what I mean?
That's for we'll get there.
We'll get to that with the event. Yeah. So here's the whole section on collisions, right? So another fantastic graphic here about like every option of how you collide, right? It's got a driver section that looks like an old like the mystery wagon or mystery mobile, and then there's an enemy that looks like a car. And then it's got driver with more health, and then it shows the pre and post of a driver with one crash and like 6 pips in it versus versus a car. And then there's one for drivers with the same health, enemy with more health, empty crash, and exposed health. So those are things that matter, as we said before, with some other thing. Let me get to that real quick. So if a driver has the same or more health, enemy loses a set. So a set is the entire like pip and bracket thing. That's a set. It's a whole thing, right? Driver loses health equal to the enemy's lost health, right? So the whole enemy set gone, and if they had 2 pips, you lose 2 pips. Enemy has more health, so driver loses a set, and enemy loses health equal to the driver's lost health. And then you have an empty crash and exposed health, which is interesting. So on an empty crash, that means all the pips in your crash are gone. An empty crash is when there isn't any health in the set. Damage wipes out the crash before inflicting damage is normal. And if you look at the graphic, what it's saying, and I had to go back and read it and make sure. Yeah. It's basically saying if you have an empty crash and you get collided, that crash is no buffer. It does nothing for you. So that sucks to have like an empty crash. You basically lose an HP for nothing. So you having more health in the early rounds is smart, because if you lose 1 pip off of that and then you get collided and you lose a crash too for nothing. So having 2 health in the early ones is great. And then there's also exposed health. This is when there's no crashes in a set and damage wipes out the health before inflicting damage is normal. So basically if you have a crash with no health or health with no crashes and get collided into, they just get deleted and you still take the full damage otherwise, which, damn, that sucks. Don't get collided into.
Yeah, that does suck.
Moving. So this is the nitty-gritty parts of stuff. So basically you can move into an empty tile. If you can move into a tile with drivers or enemies, you decide whether you're going to get whether you're going to collide or not, because you can be in the same tile as enemies and not collide in them. You can, but you can choose not to or not. So there's tile with multiple occupants, tiles with obstacles, tiles with events, tile with a mix of contents, a heavy in traffic. There's different things that happen when you do that. So moving into a tile with an obstacle, you pay the price or take the penalty. But if the obstacle moves into you, like that's a whole different situation. And again, pay the price or take the penalty. Remind me to figure out what the price is. And then getting into healing. So in TORQ, there are 2 ways to heal. So you can rally. So at any time you want, you can spend an action and basically go all the way off the bottom of the grid, and you rally there. So you spend 1 action. So it takes an action to get down there, and then you can spend an action to regain 2 HP in crashes or health. And then you can spend as many turns as you want in the rally. You can spend as many turns down there as you want. When rallying, you can't act. You can't do anything else. You can't help push drivers. You can't do anything, but you can chill down there as long as you want and get fully healed. And to end the road phase, all drivers can just go to the rally and you can just be done with it. Or you can push it. So when you run out of crashes, you can push it. To push it, ask your fellow players to donate one of their actions. If they don't have any actions, they can donate an action from their next turn.
Love that.
For every action a player gives you, you regain a lost set, a full set, crash and health, right? Players can bargain and strike deals here. You can only push it once per road phase, though. So if you run out of crashes after you've pushed it, your car is totaled. So that's really the only way you can fuck up your car that bad, because otherwise you really can just like drop down into rally, right? Because there's a section here for out of health and crashes. When reduced to both, enemies and drivers can't move. They just coast down. Basically, at the end of every flow, they just move down one until they hit the rally. And when drivers each rally, they may spend actions on future turns to regain HP. So, like, if you get knocked out of everything, you just coast until you can rally, and then come back. So it's only when you push it can you really get total and be gone.
You should play this game. This is such a... I cannot tell you how much I enjoy the rules to this game.
Yep. And
like,
not only that, like,
it's such a clever way to use the grid. And the grid's like fairly limited. It's 3x3, so it's 9 spaces, right? And so it feels like maybe it's potentially cramped, but there's so much going on. There's room for so many things within each square that it's actually like a ton of space to move around in. And it creates this like incredibly, like, I don't want to say strategically dense because that makes it sound like it's like confusing, but it's not. It's very simple, but still strategically dense potential for what you can do on your turns.
Oh my gosh. When we get into like the lures and stuff like that, what you can do, because like the thing that it is super clever, but then I was like, wait a minute, you can push people into other stuff. And if they've already taken their action, when the road flows, you can make, you don't have to do stuff. You can drop obstacles into them. You can make people collide with them. You can do this. Yes, it is strategic. It is I think this is one of those games where like you can play it like straightforward and just be like, I hit a guy. But every time you do a road phase, you're going to get a little bit better and a little bit better, a little bit more strategic and a little bit more strategic. Eventually, you're going to be like, why'd you do that thing? It's going to be like fucking chess. Like, you're going to be like, oh, because if I knock this guy to here, he'll bump into that. And then the obstacle will hit this guy over here. And then I can lure the guy over by one this way. Like, it's definitely one that like, yeah, there's levels to this shit. And it's you're right.
There's
it's so
levels
clever
to this shit, dog.
It's so good. And it's so well explained. And the graphics are so fantastic. Like, this is how to lay out a game so people understand it. This is an instruction manual for how to play a game so people know how to play it. Like, as a TTRPG instruction manual fucking should be. Anyway, so totaled. If you reach 0 crashes, 0 health, and you've already pushed it, you're totaled. That's it. So roll a 6-sided dice for your vehicle and a 6-sided dice for your driver. There's 3 options for each here. And then when you do 4 to 6 on either, you re-roll or create an entry. There's a thing later in the campaign mode where it tells you to like go create an entry for bonus stuff. But some of the total stuff is kind of fucked. So number 3 on your right is like fucked up, left behind. Like your ride's gone.
A mechanic spends the rest of their life fixing it.
Yeah. The number 1 for yourself is like you're really dead. You're just dead. You're dead.
It just says really dead.
Yeah. Not dead like, oh, you get to come back. Like, no, you're really dead. Like you're done so. And then number 3 is you're done driving. You never throw good money after you're out of the game. You're done. So like if you total your car, that sucks. So pushing it is extremely risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the actions and stuff you can take. Stunts. There's basic stunts, shifting stunts, effect stunts, interference stunts, weird stunts, like all that kind of stuff. So basic stunts are like collide, damage, heal, rebuild. One of the things that I really like, and they say it in here too, is the stunts and attacks are expressed mechanically. This is to give you the opportunity to flavor their stunts however you want. I really like that that's in there. It's definitely one of those things where like it's helpful for anybody, but to be able to explain and be like, collide is trigger collision, but like there's a million ways you can actually make that happen in the game. But basic stunts, collide, damage, heal, and rebuild. It's exactly what they do. You collide into someone, you deal damage, you do that. Shifting stunts, drag, launch, pull, push, swap. It's exactly what it sounds like it does. We don't really need to dig into it. You drag someone, you launch someone, you pull someone. Effect stunts, cloak, is really cool. You cannot be targeted. Lock means you lock someone in their tile, which means they can't move, which is a dope one to be like, oh, that means the obstacle will hit them next time.
Obstacle's gonna come into him next. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The effect interference stunts really fuck you up. Lure pulls you toward somebody. Slag, we talked about one of the effects had a slag. So target takes double damage from every source until the end of their next turn. So I remember one of the ones was like slag a whole tile. So everything in the tile takes double damage. Slow, they can't take a move action, which again would make them like drop backwards when the flow happens. So great.
Wasn't one of them like, oh no, it was drag a column. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was thinking a slag a column. And I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah.
Oh yeah, drag a column. Yeah. Interference stunts. Ignore, which means you just ignore shit. Place a mine. Place an obstacle. Reduce, which means target subtracts incoming damage by a set. Or send, move target to a specified location. And then weird stunts. Corrode, donate, double down, and steal. Exactly what they sound like. They're cool. They're great. Crashing into walls. If a road action pushes the target into the wall or the boundary on the left or right, it's called a wall crash. Wall crashes apply slow. meaning they cannot do a round. I love that the wall crash is just like bouncing and slows you down. It's not, you don't take damage, you don't do anything. Like I really, for some reason, I don't know, that really gets me to be like, that's a nice way to, I don't know why indoor soccer bopped into my head, but I imagine like, because people like, it's a thing you can't do in outdoor soccer where you can like be going up to someone and like kick the ball off the wall around them and shit, you know? So when I thought of this, I'm like, man, you could totally just like bounce someone off the wall and have them go down at an angle and hit an obstacle and like, I don't know, use the whole thing, a level of tactics that are interesting.
Yeah, we could hack this into an indoor soccer game, you know?
We could. I'm just saying that's a problem. Dude, I love these raised like things on the back of the car. They had it on the back of the picture with the Volkswagen back, but there's another picture here that has like the back window with these like kind of like bladed armor looking things coming up the back. They're so fucking cool. I wish more cars had this stuff. Like everything nowadays is so like everything is just a white SUV, right? And they all look exactly the same. I wish cars that were like boxier and had more stuff. I love the old boxy BMWs. I love the old boxy Volkswagens. Like more personality. So attacks have access, all players have access to attacks or personalized methods, but the basic stuff you do is you can inflict 1 crash damage to a target in your tile, you can inflict 2 health damage, or you can inflict 1 health damage to a target in any file. Because for a while I was like, what's the difference between health and crash and this and that?
You're saying file or tile?
Oh, I meant tile, sorry, yeah. So those are the options: 1 crash damage, 2 health damage, or 1 health damage to any tile, which I imagine is like just chucking your batteries out the window at them, you know?
Yeah, me throwing those unread books, you know?
Yep. Enemies, obstacles, and events. We're like halfway through this book, we'll go a little faster. So they happen, right? The interesting thing about these is that you give management of these things to players. Instead of having a GM, you pick 1 person to manage the events, 1 person to manage the obstacles, and 1 person to manage the enemies if you want. And you can portray them, their actions, their behaviors, describe how they act, and everyone can share these responsibilities, which I think is a really, really cool way of doing it. It also makes so that if you had a GM, that's a lot to kind of keep track of. And if you don't have a GM, that's even more for every single person to individually keep track of it all the time. So it's really nice to just be like, these are the 3 things that can happen. You pass those out to people and you just make sure you know all about the events and we'll worry about everything else. And you can just ask each other questions for how it works. I love that cohesiveness. And it also creates like all timing. That's the other thing about this. It's like, you have to be engaged at all times, because at any time you could get hit, you could get bounced, you get wall crashed, and then this adds another level to it.
It's like driving. You have to stay engaged, you know?
Yeah, but every single one of us kind of does that thing where you're just like, oh shit, how did I get home for the last 20 minutes, you know? And don't say that you don't. Yeah, yeah. You just
when I'm driving to my 4:30 a.m. job, I'm never like, wait, oh shit, I'm already here.
The human psyche is crazy, man, to just be able to like just tune out and go. So encounter ticket is cool. So on the road, encounters are handled through an encounter ticket. Basically, you have this thing and there's a picture of it here. It gives you situations, obstacles, and enemies. This is a part where I think that there might have been an issue with the writing. It says, this tool lets us quickly visualize and note the actions, enemies, and actions.
It's actions on the road.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's the actions, enemies, and actions on the road. But maybe that's not wrong. Maybe I'm reading it, but I would have thought it would say situation, obstacles, and enemies, because that's what the road ticket actually shows: the situation, obstacles, and enemies. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just reading it weird. But anyway, so encounter tickets are all printouts that you can just write on, and they're great. And you just write this stuff down, and there's tracking, there's notes on the side. It's so nice to have just like literally just like a little ticket that you can write up. And there's an example later. So enemies, obstacles, and events. It talks about how the enemies work here. So the enemy AI basically top left to bottom right, top column to bottom column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Exactly
Super
how it
simple.
sounds.
Really, couldn't be more simple.
Easy. And then it talks about you go in 0 to 60 order. It talks about targeting. It gives you the specific way the enemies target, which is closest driver, slowest driver, and then lowest current HP driver in that order, which is great. So it basically says, and then in bold, it explains it again. Enemies go for near, slow, and weak in that order. I love the way that's explained. In enemy movement, enemies can only move to 1 adjacent or diagonal tile at a time. Enemy HP, like driver HP, is read from left to right with 0 to 60. When an enemy is reduced to 0 HP, remove it from the grid. The only issue I have is Enemies at 0 HP, they just die. Enemies in rally, whatever. So it gives you Big Dozer here, right? Which is dope as fuck. It's this giant Mitsubishi van, right? And then it gives you name, horsepower, description, number of actions taken per turn, actions, like listed out on what the enemy stat block is. Love the way it's laid out. But how much health does that have in crashes and pips?
It's got 3 crashes and 7 health.
Add that up.
Oh, yeah, that's more than, yeah.
The 0 to 60 is 11, right?
Yeah.
So that means the 0 to 60. So for drivers, the 0 to 60 is your total HP.
Right.
We get an example of a bad guy here, right?
That has altogether 10.
But has 11.
11,
right?
Yeah.
And it's not until much later when you get to like the quote unquote bestiary that it tells you that enemies 0 to 60 does not equal their HP. So it would be nice.
Bestiary.
Yeah, it would be nice if that was explained here, because I was so confused for a while, and then I went back and read a bunch of stuff to be like, wait a minute, that's 10. Is my math terrible? Let me count this a bunch of times. Yeah, it would not be a bad idea on this page specifically to have a little blurb that says enemy HP is different, CBCR or something.
CBCR, yeah.
Yeah. So representing the road, okay, we're gonna start skipping some of this stuff. So obstacles are things that are in your way. When an obstacle enters your tile on your next turn, you may pay the price. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at how to pay the price. Read this with me and let's see if we can figure out price here. Obstacles are things in your way.
It's the spending the dice, right?
But what's the dice for?
Yeah, okay, that's very fair. Keep going.
Like, nowhere in the rest stop does it talk about what you spend dice on. What dice? Yeah. There's no dice in the game. You've already rolled the dice to make your character. After you make your character, there's no dice. That's the thing is I don't understand. I don't know where the dice go.
Usually when we talk about these things, I know them better than when I read them on my own. You know, obviously,
but I couldn't. But I couldn't figure out where it was. So to get to the point about the dice thing, right? So it says there's a name, a price, a penalty. If an enemy shares a space, blah blah blah. When an obstacle enters your tile, on your next turn you must pay the price or take the penalty. Whenever you enter a tile with an obstacle, you must immediately pay the price and penalty. So if you choose to go in, wait a minute. If the obstacle comes into you, you don't have to. But if you go into the obstacle, you have to, right? You have to pay. Obstacles flow with the road, blah, blah, blah. Obstacles are noted with the tile of the obstacle and then the price in dice and the penalty in parentheses. For example, tight fit is parentheses 1-1 pip, right? With the pip representing health damage. Okay, so I assume the price in dice and the penalty in parentheses. So 1 dice, 1 pip. This is the part. The penalty is 1 health damage, right?
Yes.
But what does the price in dice mean?
It was spend.
It says, so in tight fit, if you go to the next slide, it says, if a driver is in a tile with this obstacle, under tight fit, they must spend 1 dice to avoid taking the penalty of 1 health. What dice are you spending? Did we miss something about a dice pool?
I don't know.
Because I've read the book twice now, and I don't control like a control F dice thing to see if we missed something about a dice pool. I'll keep going while you look. So tight fit and debris are options. So tight fit is exactly what we just said, and I love the abstraction of that, of being like, oh, this is a tight fit, like the road has like a narrowing, like, you know what I mean? Like it comes in on you. And then debris, if a driver shares a tile with this obstacle, they must spend 1 dice to avoid taking the penalty of 1 crash because you bounce off debris, right? Then there's mines, which are similar obstacles. They can be placed on the board. They move with the flow of play. They can be activated whenever the owner wants, et cetera, et cetera. Read that more if you want. And then events. There are unique road moments that can happen. You can backtrack to get them if you want. You can go to get them. There are rewards and stuff. So an example event here is called Mountain Memory. And then it gives you a trigger, a reward, and then additional stuff for it. So the trigger is on the second round and every other round after that, place this event on a random tile with an obstacle in it, right? Reward is tell the mountain your name and record yourself in its memory. Do not go to rally. Move every obstacle to a random tile. That's awesome. And then it says if you want to pay 1 health, you get to do the same, but go to rally also. And then you embed a piece of the path within your chassis. So there's like narrative and mechanical to it, which I really, really love. And the whole reward about like tell the mountain your name thing is fucking amazing. Pay one crash is above, but shuffle the obstacles. Memorize the name of one who has passed before. Great. And then, or you can pay one set and then as above, and you don't shuffle the obstacles, but you lock the obstacles. So there's different stuff you can do with the event. So really, really cool, really great narrative mechanical flow to it, which is really fucking awesome. Anything on dice before we move on?
Yeah, there's some. I mean, we're about to get the milestones, so go through milestones because there's talk about spending dice on milestones. I think is the next thing I could find.
Okay, all right. So, milestones are ways for drivers in TORQ to measure themselves. Milestones are personal. TORQ is filled with milestone-driven player versus player and other stuff. So milestones come in 3 types: small, big, and group. The small milestone is something that takes place 1 or 2 road phases to complete.
That's what it is. I was right. It's here.
The group milestone is something that a group of drivers are working towards and might take several sessions. A group milestone can't be randomly generated. For a milestone generator and how to trade milestones to upgrade, see page 65. And the most random thing is that page 65 is hyperlinked. Of all the pages, like the index isn't hyperlinked, like a bunch of like the other stuff isn't hyperlinked, but this one thing randomly is. Does that mean like maybe a bunch of the rest are just broken? I don't know.
Maybe. So are there other inline page references that
there was one that had like a something to a link to 23 that didn't work. So I don't know.
Maybe it might just be broken.
Maybe a bunch of them are broken.
But yeah, this is where you get your spendable dice. It's in a big milestone.
Okay, all right. So let's see where we go. So small, get your hands on a tape deck. It's time for a paint job, blah, blah. Big, spend 3 dice on avoiding damage from obstacles. So again, it's talking about spending dice, right?
Oh.
Destroy 4 enemies.
Yeah.
Drag another vehicle to rally, and then group, cross the Odessa Road, collect the refrigeration materials. So basically, it's levels of milestones. But so what the milestones allow you to do is upgrade your stuff, right? And we'll get to that in a second, I think. A group milestone. So into the road. The road phase is complete when the objective is met. All drivers go to rally. When the road ends, play transitions to the rest stop, describe the event, etc., etc. It says this can be via a CV radio, but it's a CB radio, unless it's not what I'm thinking about. But like the actual, like the thing that people talk to, it's like community band, I think is what CB stands for. But they talk about CV in here. V as in Victor. And I think it's supposed to be CB as in boy, as in Bravo. I do love this page here with like the Mustang, with like the setting sun behind it and stuff like that. But again, so there's a whole big thing here about like spending dice and in the milestones there's spending dice and stuff like that. But maybe we'll get to dice. Not sure. So there's a sample encounter ticket here, which is fantastic. I love that it's here. It's interesting that they put the sample ticket here at the end. Instead of higher. I like that because you understand how enemies and obstacles events work. So you get that you have a ticket in the front, you get the explanation of all of it, and then you get an example ticket in the back, which is great. It's called Jailbroken, is the situation. So read that. It's really cool. And that's the whole spread there. Some tracking events on the side. And then there's a great spread here of a dark like mountain with like
such a great
road
spread
going across it, and in the background on like a dark green on black, it literally says don't sleep on the road, don't sleep on the road, don't sleep on the road, like don't sleep on the road, like do not sleep on the road, like filling the entire sky. This is such an amazing spread. And it looks like almost like headlights like lit up like out into the thing. So it says drivers don't let other drivers sleep under the blank sky, take necessary precautions. And then there's trips should take 36 hours or fewer, stop at the earliest convenience, everything like that. I mean, all you have to do to go to rest stop is go to rally. So like this would be a narrative choice to choose to stop on the road, which I love that it gives you that kind of option.
Yeah.
And there's rules here. It says if sleep is unavoidable, leave vehicle in neutral, remove keys from ignition, record your mental state, rough location, any landmarks and omens. Park vehicle so the front is north-northwest and the front wheels are angled northwest. Sleep in pairs. If unavoidable, sleep in threes. Stay within shouting distance. Like it's really cool because again, this has to be a narrative choice. You're never going to get to. You have to do that. I love that it's like don't do this and like here's like how to it's very vibey. It's incredibly vibey. Another great piece of art to go to the rest stop is this person like using the car as a generator to like watch TV and stuff and like recharge things while they're sipping on something. So it's really great. And then we have the entire rest stop section. So at the end of every road is a rest stop. A rest stop is inhabited by NPCs and things like that. And there's a whole section here we're talk about that. And it's populated with the options available. It's very open world. And this is where a lot of the RP, like really deep RP comes in. So there's a procedure here. There's roll up, park, R&R, and roll out. So roll up means you take a look at the rest stop, you clock its vibe and discover its bargain. Park means each player rolls 2d6 and places them on the rest stop to represent a point of interest. I love that. Basically like rolling the dice and the dice are the things. R&R, ply your trade, partake in activities, do the thing. Like you had Snap, right? So go take pictures and do all that kind of stuff. Try to do your activities so you can get your rewards and things. And then roll out, heal up, get out of there. So roll up at the end of the road phase. You do that. Remove all the pieces from the road and go to the thing. And then park, as we said, you do the 2d6. And it says everyone rolls 2d6 and places them on the rest stop. Assemble the dice on the rest stop to represent different locations. Name the locations, adding the locations together. One dice represents a type of location and the other dice represents the person or event there. And I love that, how like you're each, like you pick one of each when you roll it to do that. So if it's a small community, everyone should just roll once. If it's larger, you can roll more. And there's a picture here of like dice kind of spread out as like representative of like buildings. It's neat that you would actually put the dice in a way that is the community, so you can actually see kind of a map of the community in your dice.
This is a very clever like mapping procedure. Reading through this, I was like, this is amazing. It's fantastically brilliant, and I kind of would like to steal this for something else that's like a narrative. Like you get to a place and tell me about this place, players. You know.
Steal it, hack it. I love those. I really do genuinely love those dice that are like dungeons and you just like roll them together and you get like corners and walls and stuff and you like build out a little like dungeon with it, like a little 6-room dungeon with your little dice. That's great. Rest and refuel. Once you populated the rest stop, rest and refuel. There are 4 things to do: investigate, strand, registration activities and checklist scenes, reallocate your HP, and upgrade your vehicle. See page 66. Again, randomly hyperlinked. You can choose multiple activities. So investigating a strand, you pick a dice at the rest stop and sketch out a scene. So you literally are like, I'm going to go check this out, and you RP it out. Do that. It's cool. Set a scene, play and role play. It's a role play game. And then do that. I almost went to registration activity is the activities that you get to do. What were your registration activities?
Oh crap, I've forgotten already.
Oh, it's not a big deal then. If you're a driver, ply your trade at each rest stop. You ply your trade by narrating a scene using your registration activity. So it's very much kind of like a structured round table of setting scenes and people acting out those scenes. So it's very RP heavy in this section. Obviously, that's the point of this section. Reallocate your HP, obviously move stuff around, and then roll out, leave, right? You can return to this community by placing it on a map. People in this community might ask favors. I love that. You can just like make the map yourself, which is cool. I
love it. Where does it say where the map is like a timeline? You're just making a timeline and it like branches kind of.
Yeah. So it says I think it says there's 2 ways. Yeah. Like, oh, maybe not. I know there's one that said like you can either place it like a tree, or you could put it in a line. And one is, obviously a line, and one is more of just like all the places that you've gone. I don't remember where that is, though. I don't think it's here, though. Yeah. There's a cool picture. I wonder whose license plate this is, because that's a real car that they took a picture of and put a real license plate on there. So tools. You've learned what TORQ has to offer. It's tactical gameplay on the road, freeform roleplay rest stops. The following pages are tools, milestones, upgrades, milestones and upgrades for drivers, ticket generator, all that kind of stuff. So this is all the stuff to do the nitty gritty mechanics and whatnot of the game. So the right to repair. The right to repair is an assurance that manufacturers provide all pieces of tools necessary for independent mechanics. Anyway, yeah. So you have the right to repair your vehicle. Upgrades. So again, I'm still not finding the dice, but TORQ is TORQ is full of in-character goals and motivations. Spending milestones to buy upgrade. So if you actually complete the milestone, you can get an upgrade. So a small milestone is a small upgrade. Big milestone is a big upgrade. A group milestone is a group upgrade. And those, you get options for those, right? A small upgrade only lasts one road phase, and they're generally like, you have one extra set, 2 extra health, 1 extra move, ignore an obstacle, things like that. They're pretty small, but it's only for one road phase. Big upgrades are permanent, and it's like 1 extra set, add 2 HP. It's very similar to the small ones, but they're permanent. And the group one is a revelation. So it says add a new totaled option. That's what I was talking about before. So if you get this one, you get to put one of those new options on that board. Roll up a special tool on page 81. Add another car to your garage. Add another driver to your convoy. So those are really, really big. So these are the upgrades you can get from completing your milestones, which again, I still am not finding the dice that you spent in the milestones or on obstacles and stuff like that.
I'm so confused about that, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know if we missed something, or if like maybe there was a dicing and they forgot to take a couple of those mentions out.
Listen, I'm not sure. Missing something very realistic, but me and you missing something, that's slightly less
realistic, but possible, because we're fucking idiots.
That's so true. I forget.
Yeah, right. So ticket generator is here. It talks about random column, random row, tile, like enemy attacks. Use that. We're gonna scoot through some of this stuff that are the tools, because just go read them. Enemies. So this is what I was talking about before, where it says it explains again the same big dozer tile, right? The stat block, same directions and everything like that. When building an enemy ticket, keep in mind the following tips. Overwhelm the drivers with number of enemies, not HP. 1 action a turn is plenty unless they mean business. The base damage an enemy should be able to inflict is a single crash or 2 health. Enemy HP should be within a 2 to 12 range of the drivers, and they're 0 to 60 unless it's particular speed, low, high, blah, blah, blah. Enemies should have slightly inflated 0 to 60 scores compared to their HP to give drivers a slight edge. When creating, so it basically, I think there's another section later where it talks about it more specifically, but it basically says like the 0 to 60 is not, it's not indicative of the 0 to 60 or the HP of the car. They can be totally different, and it really depends. And all of these are like that. So for example, Shimmer would be an 8. But it's 0 to 60 is 10. So basically it's saying inflate the 0 to 60, and I assume that is because the higher it is, the slower they are. So you want the enemies to be
go
slower.
Earlier on. Yeah, it totally makes sense. You give the drivers, this is a driver-centric game. They're supposed to be, the road warrior cool people. And they should be better than the arbitrary enemy drivers that kind of come after.
Exactly.
Which I'm fine with. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I love that. It's fantastic. Yeah. So each enemy stat block has the name. It has the crashes and health and everything, and then it has like a little blurb. So the big dozer says Frankenstein construction equipment, and it says it has 1 action per turn, and one of the actions it has is shover, which is to move into a random tile with the driver and collide. And then spike pod, visualizer, rodeo. A lot of them are super fucking cool. A weirdo with a low-hanging chopper bouncing on the road as a gyro captain. A lot like the light bike. A lot of these have to be like Dari's 16 has to be something that I'm not aware of in a movie reference or something like that. It's a semi-truck filled with a fragile, dangerous devices. Like that's got to be from a movie. Light bike, obviously we know what that's from.
I have no idea what that's from.
Henri, Unforgiving, has to be a reference that I'm just like, that's going over my head. Henri is a boss. Pair them with other disruptive enemies. So the boss here is interesting. It says it has 2 actions per turn. It's got a relatively low 0 to 60, 7, so it'd go quick. One of the actions is opening a hole in the air, move away from danger and inflict 1 health damage. Just move and do it. Light bend, you cloak your current tile, which means you can't be targeted. And then boss, it says refresh Henri once after totaled. So you win, and then it gets a second phase.
Yeah, very, very Dark Souls,
Yeah, so good. Here's a section. So this is the whole section on making enemies. And it specifically says in this, when assigning HP to enemies, give them a higher 0 to 60 than they'd have if they rolled HP like drivers. So the first time you see the enemy stat block is like page like 40 something, and then explains the enemy stat block a little bit as far as the HP and 0 to 60 on page 73. It would have been nice if there was maybe a reference to page 73 on that previous page so that you're not a little bit confused on why the stat block is different. Because again, it doesn't explain it until the making enemies kind of like GM section or whatever, on why it is that way. But there's a making enemy section, there's a making bosses section, there's a fucking insanely cool roadmap. Just like this pieced together collage of amazingness by the book. Look at this map. It's so fucking cool. And then as you go down, it goes through environments and obstacles. So it gives you this as like an adventure to run. Ignatia run, loading bay, storm, Halcema, these are different things. And it gives you 3 things in each part. So for storm, it's got moody weather, coming down hard. It says like add a bad visibility, like violent meteorology, add permanent bad visibility. So there's like options for each one. So again, you kind of get an adventure without them saying like, now here's the adventure, which is great. I like that it lets you use your mind in fun, interesting ways. There's example environments and obstacles. There's example events. And then there's some more tables in the back, which are really cool. So like there's a loot table. There was a reference earlier to like make a random piece of loot or whatever. And this is, or a random item. And this is where you'll find it. So do you want to I mean, I really love like 6 predictive instruments, place 1 mine on enemy's head, and I love how there are all these gauges off to the side and each one is like marked off to one of the gauges, which is really cool. There is number 2, little something special. So I'm sorry, so loot, you would roll number 1 the instrument cluster, number 2 the little something special. I like this as psst. Want to make a busted driver? Instead of getting stock and custom stunts, roll 3 times on this loot section and let God sort out the rest. That's so fucking good. A special little telescope, halogen brights, ripcords.
Dude, I love ripcords. Pull all drivers, all of them.
So good. Bolt thrower, donate 1 crash at event and lock it. So good. Number 3 is guts. So bad syringe of expensive petrol, distortion, foreshortener. So this is all just cool stuff that you can get or give or use. It's things that the game can have, and they're so interesting. Some kind of box, just a box. There's a number 5. Number 6 is just knobs and switches, just different knobs and switches you can have. It's so cool. And then, so we're almost done with the game. We are on page 86 and 84. So we're getting there, friends. There's a rest stop section, which talks a little bit more about like retiring characters and community pressures. It's got a roll table for like kind of how people will. It's basically like the whole standard like reaction table to you. Are you a nuisance, a boogeyman, a friendly face, you know, that kind of thing. There's a section here on like the vibe palette, generating a few sentences for a restaurant to create a palette for your vibe, bargains and things like that. And then what you notice first table, which is cool to have, just a D66 table for like what you notice first. So roll on what you notice first and what you see last.
Okay, what you notice first? I got 1, 2. The field of flowers on every side. Well, I noticed. Well, I see last though. I get 6, 4. The statues.
Oh. Little weeping angel action, you know. And then last 2 spreads here. So a bargain between. So there's a section earlier about bargains. We didn't really get into it that far, but these are the most kind of far out there spreads that are maybe a tiny bit too far, but are still beautiful. So a bargain between the sky and its people across the 2 spreads, 2 very, very different. So you got a bargain between the sky. So roll D66.
No, it's a bargain between the world and its people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, a bargain between the world. I kept reading sky because sky is the first box. Right?
First thing.
A bargain between the world and its people. So roll a D66 for this.
Okay, so first one, 5, 2. I got fauna and telltale. And
telltale fauna.
And the people, I got 5, 4, which is food.
Exactly. Yeah. The people spread is it's interesting. It is probably one of the hardest spreads to read.
You saw me do this. That's why you said exactly.
Turn your head sideways. It's very much like at an angle, on an angle, stacked on an angle, and stuff like that. last ones, points of interest. So there's again, these are the it's interesting that these are here because this is like the kind of the community creation tables. Again, this whole section is tools, but this with the community section would have been, I think, interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Or at least like a find those on page 91 thing. But it's the 1 dice isolated away, 2 dice, 3 dice, people, places, events based on the different dice and stuff that you roll. And then last bit here, there's an example rest stop, and then there's speed running TORQ, which gives you some stuff to do. And then there's the TORQ and TORG conversion guide. To switch TORQ to TORG, you switch out all the G's with Q's. I think it should be all the Q's with G's, but whatever. Yeah, or you play TORG. That's kind of it. Note from the author. With these tools and preceding rules, you're ready to get into trouble and kick it. There you go. Note from the publisher. Do not, under any circumstances, launch, slag, place mines, or attempt any other maneuver described in these pages behind the wheel of a motor vehicle.
Wait. I have a thing. Do we have time for a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, this is from itch.io. Someone's asking about, I've still been looking for this rule, by the way. Looks really neat, but I'm really confused about obstacles. They have a price and a penalty. It says the price to spend dice. Not sure what that means. Will Jobst has replied, thanks for the note. The dice concept was thrown out right before layout. That should read actions. Basically, all obstacles have a price and a penalty, noted like the price penalty. The price is the cost in actions to be in the obstacle tile and ignore the penalty.
Yep. So what we should do is update the PDF. Well, it's on itch.
No, we should re-review this. We'll start the episode over.
Yeah, we'll do another hour and 48 minutes. Yep, so that we can. But I mean, if you're going to explain a fix the PDF. It would be nice, because how would we know that except unless we dig through the itch, which you can buy this not on itch and then get a PDF, so you wouldn't know unless you dig like you did. Good job, buddy. That's the way to fix it. So it was an error. We did find it, and it does make sense to just switch with actions. And that would, because you get 2 in a round, so having to play a penalty of an action totally works.
Yes.
Really great. I'm less confused now. That's it. That's the whole thing. And that's the game. The back page, again, more yellow and explanation, and it's beautiful, and I love it. It's great. Even the back of the PDF, where on the back of the book it says "Good luck press.co" is hyperlinked. So I'm really disappointed that the index is not hyperlinked. I'm gonna be honest. Review scores for TORQ. Obviously, the book's 94 pages. For those that don't know or need reminding, all of this is our extraordinarily subjective opinion and is in no way, shape, or form a voice of authority. If you don't like it, that's fine.
Yeah, we're totally done. Fine. So, whatever.
Or we're super smart and you're just maybe not everything's for you. And if we're not for you, that's also fine.
That's also fair,
But anyway, so we take our terrible opinions and we quantify them into 5 metrics worth 10 points each for a total of 50 points, which means that we do more than just the game. If you'll look at this, the rule set is one of 5 metrics. This is as much a product review and amateur dev editing as it is a game review. Learn what it is we do on the show. The first one is art and layout. It is the art in the book. It is the layout visually. It does the visuals of the book, and if they work for us. Usability is things like hyperlinked index. If a book needs a bookmark, like if things are in what we consider to be a good reading order, if you don't have to hunt for things, if both the book and the PDF are usable, right? The rule set is the actual rule set of the game. If it's adapted, how well is it adapted? If it's a unique new rule set, do we think it's good? Do we like it? Originality is exactly that. Originality in any aspect of any of these metrics or beyond. And value is the bang for your buck, not just the flat cost, but also what you get with it. Is there a lot in the book? Is there a lot beyond the book? Do you feel like, again, you get enough bang for your buck for the money that you spend on this? So art and layout.
Oh, dude, this is it. I mean, this is an amazingly, it's an amazing pleasure to go through this visually.
Yes.
It is a fantastic looking book. I love the experimental use of layout, and it It really hits all the way through until a couple of the last things are like, meh, but they're not bad, and I still like them.
You mean like
I'm a
the
very
tools and stuff at
high
the
number
back?
on this. What's up?
You mean like the tools and stuff way at the back?
Yeah.
Here's the thing is, even the point of interest is still really interesting page and other stuff.
Yes.
I'm okay with the tools. Also like the bargain page and the people page, like that one got way far out there. That one might have got away a little bit.
It's the only one that trips me up, but I got it, you know?
Yeah. Otherwise it's so easy to read. It is like all of the graphics are incredibly well done. I mean, visually, you're right. It was up every time I flipped the page. I was just like excited for like the next spread to pop up, and because they're all fucking gorgeous. I'm pretty high on this. This is not what I would call an art book, but it's probably the highest score we're going to give when it's not considered an art book.
Probably.
What number are you thinking?
I'm 8, 9 on this. I'm like healthy 9.
I already had 9 typed in, so we're gonna go with a 9 here. This is a gorgeous, visually, this is a absolutely stunning, gorgeous book. The vibes all the way through, like, keep you in the game. It's readable all the way through. It's gorgeous, both with the art that they did, the photography they did, and the layout. Usability, I think it suffers a couple of different ways on usability.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
I think obviously we're going to count off for not having a hyperlinked index, because that's what we do. That's the expectation that we have and we've set.
It's 2024.
But like when you go through the road section, it has these icons, and has this like, the icons make it so easy to understand and explain and like set things up. It's explained really well, even though the layout's like kind of experimental at some points and like far out there, quotes around that. It's not like it's crazy, but it's cool. It's still incredibly readable, and you can go through it. Some stuff needs to be moved around, maybe in some different places, and that's kind of the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I think so. So as far as usability, it's a beautiful book, right? And it's extremely well laid out. The graphics are fantastic, as we said before, with the visual layout. But as far as the actual like usability of the layout, gorgeous. Graphics, gorgeous. Like the explanation of the character sheet, gorgeous. What we want is those explainers, those things like that. The issues that I do have are obviously the missing hyperlinks all throughout. I think a bunch of the inlines must be broken. But the fact that the index especially isn't hyperlinked is kind of crazy. When every link is and a bunch of the inlines are, it's weird that the index isn't. But in addition to that, there's a bunch of stuff in character creation you don't understand for a while. There's some, like, for example, in like the community section when it talked about how to roll it, I don't think it has, like, go to page 91 for the resources. Like, when the first time you see the enemy stat block, like, it definitely tripped me up on the fact that it wasn't the same amount of health, but it doesn't really tell you to like page 73 that it doesn't have to be. So I think it does an incredibly good job of explaining things, but I think it just like missed 2 or 3 things, and maybe where just like even 3 or 4 words or just like go see here would have been really nice.
Yeah,
I don't think that
I agree.
Tanks it by any stretch of imagination, but there's definitely some things. And also, I mean, the fact that dice is mentioned and it's not part of the game, and the PDF hasn't been hyperlinked, or hasn't been updated with that. Because how long ago was that thing on Edge? Because I had
2
this.
years.
Yeah, so 2 years the PDF hasn't been updated. So to me, like, those are things that kind of like ding it down a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I think overall though, like, books should look at this book on how to like have a character sheet explained to you, and like the graphics for like the crashes and the health and like how they work and stuff, stunning. So like, I think that far outweighs stuff, but obviously, you know, there's some things that could be tweaked a little bit better. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. You know, I was a strong 7, and then we retreaded the whole like dice over actions things. And I'm like, fuck, that kind of makes it like a 6 for me.
I disagree. I was probably way up more of like a fat 8, just based on, and obviously feel free to disagree, but like we talk about flow sheets and stuff all the time. This is not necessarily like a flow sheet, but like the real explainers with the arrows pointing to everything with very specific set instructions. Like that
is very true. Okay, maybe I'm still a 7.
Yeah, I think it's an 8, and it drops to a 7 with those couple of dings, in my opinion. Okay, if you're good with that, I'm good with that. Rule set, bro.
It's a great rule set. What a fucking pleasure of a rule set. You know, like, it's fun. It's easy to understand and has the potential for like a deeper level of play, like we were talking about. The The abilities are interesting. I think also like the way stunts are later on explained, where it makes it easy for you to like make your own stunts. I love this rule set. I am dying to play it.
So one thing again that I kind of disagreed with, like one thing that Will said was that like this kind of lean into like it's 2 games in one. I remember when we did. Were you with me when we did Demon Crawl Gothic?
That might have been one of the days I missed.
Okay, so in that game, it very much was 2 different games. It was like an RPG, and then it was very much like...
No, I did that one. I remember us being like, this game is worse for being 2 things mashed
2 games
together.
that like individually, the one game is fantastic, and individually the other game is fantastic, but when you put it together, it really makes this discordant,
muddled, right? Yeah, I remember
Game's
that.
fantastic, by the way, though. Standard AD stuff is fantastic. Go check out like all the stuff they do. Burnout Reaper, Steel Hearts, all that kind of stuff. But... that felt like 2 very distinct games. This definitely feels like 2 distinct modes of play, but it doesn't feel like there's a discordance. Like it feels like once you're done with the road, you just drive down the road to the rest stop. Like it's very cohesive, and I really, really like that a lot. I don't remember why I was talking about that. But it was a good thing. It was to say, like, I love the 2 modes of play. I think it's fantastic that they does that. And the interesting thing about the 2 roads of play too is like if you're the kind of table that wants more actionless role play, you just stay on the road more. And if you're the kind of player, the kind of table that wants to do more like rest stop stuff, like more RP, more stuff like that, just do more rest stop stuff. And I think it's especially the first like 5 pages where it really lets you like dictate the style of game you want very specifically. It allows for so much flexibility and still maintain the game in a really good way. Also, the road's genius. I fucking love the grid.
Yeah, and the grid's great, and its use is great, because I think I kind of touched on this earlier when I initially saw the grid, and I was like, oh, it's 3x3. It's not many spaces, but it's plenty of room. There's movement to it. More than one thing can fit in a space, and like that has interesting interactions to it. I love this. I think this is really enjoyable.
It's
what number are you thinking?
I don't know. I want to say again, the road, I thought the same thing as you. 3x3 doesn't seem enough, but the tactical aspect of like just being on this chunk of the road, I was just like, it tickled me in all the right ways. Probably at least an 8, to be honest.
I think I'm at least an 8. You know, I'm tempted to say 9, honestly.
This is the one that we always have to, that I look at, and I think we have talked about this before, look at more in context of other things than some of the other ones that can be in context to itself. And in relation to 1, maybe 2 games or 10, so it's not that. And then when I think of all the 9s, to me, this is an 8.
Okay, I'm good with that. I think you're right.
Okay. But I do love it. This is definitely, if this was a zine one where we had a vibe score, it would be a 10 for me. The vibes on this are insane. Originality. Can you point out to another like Rally Road 2 mode? I can't. And the grid, everything we just said about the grid, like the tactical aspect of the gameplay, like I think the originality score is way up there for me. What are you thinking?
I don't know. What are you thinking? I'm thinking a 9 again, man. I love this game.
I'm between an 8 and a 9 too, because I'm just trying to think again. The originality of it, I'm sure they exist, but I cannot think of another game that is.
It's not even like the genre of the game, although I think it is a really original.
It's one aspect of the originality, though. Yeah,
it's like it's how it works, like how you build the rest stops, how you play on the grid. Like I would give this a 9.
Well, and we talk about the originality can be in all of these or any of them, right? Because the layout, it's insane. The originality on that is insane. The rule set, especially the grid, insane. The genre, fucking awesome, right? You know what? Fuck it. We'll go 9.
Yeah, fuck it. It's a 9.
I think it's fantastic. Because so many times we're like, it's another dungeon game, but it does it in a fun way. You know what I mean? Value. You didn't happen to look up so it's $15 on itch for the PDF.
Yep, there you go.
And then on Good Luck Press, the TORQ operator manual is, I'm missing one of the curios. I don't have, no, there's a mystery bundle. Never mind. It's $31 for the, it's $42 for the book and the playmat, and it's $31 for the book. And obviously you would get the PDF with it, and then it's $15 for the PDF. I think those are all extremely reasonable prices.
They're all extremely reasonable. I mean, $42 for the book and playmat. Like, there are books you'll get for $42, you know,
or
more.
Yeah. I think that's extraordinarily reasonable. It's a 94-page book.
And full color, insane layout, you know. Adventure
with the modes
and
styles of play, the only thing I would say is like there's like an endless things that you can create on your own with this. I would love a book that gives you a book of some tickets, a book of more examples, like a book of more drivers. Like if there was like a TORQ 2, you know, like Super TORQ. I would love the fuck out of that. I think value wise, I think it's good, but not great. There's not like any more than what's here, even though what's here is fantastic. So I'm probably like, I don't know, like 6, 7.
Yeah, I'm also like 6, 7. So I think maybe 6 if there were some more. I don't know. I think it was a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, because there's 6 drivers. There's 6 drivers, which is nice, but that's honestly not very much. Like you have a lot more. You actually can do a lot more with just like the non scenic route drivers because of all the different things you can roll. Again, you get random small adventures. Let's go a 6 on this. Because again, it's not. 5 is bang average. This is the value. The cost is good. Beyond that, it is what it is, and I think we're good with that. So even if you do it, you know I'll do it. So let me do it. 9
I just don't do it anymore. Honestly,
7
I'm just like whatever.
8. I don't know why you ever did, because I told you I was going to do it anyway. 39, dude. That's a fucking banger score. That is one of the higher scores we've had in quite a long time. I think one of the ones that got close to that was actually, you know what? I think like Perils and Princesses and maybe Here's a Cerulean got some high scores too, but I think that is dead on exactly what it should be. I fucking love this game. I want to play this game so bad, and I think also that it is an extremely playable game. If you and me got off of this stream right now and just decided to play the game, we could just draw a 6x6 grid and fucking play this game right now.
3x3, but yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, 3x3. So fantastic game. Again, Will Jobst does fantastic work. Again, we honestly should apologize for talking as much to do about Adam and taking this long to do anything by Will, because Will's stuff is fantastic.
That's actually our bad. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a fucking travesty, and we apologize thoroughly for that. Check out everything from Good Luck Press. So here's the thing: is we actually mentioned this episode weeks ago, and then we realized the day we were going to do it, the Plasmatics Kickstarter, which is the project, one of the most recent project that Good Luck Press put out, was finishing like an hour before we started the episode. So we were like, well, the tiniest bump we could possibly give, we're not even going to be able to give. So we ended up postponing and then getting pushed back by a week. But we meant to do this during that. So go check out Plasmatics. I think you can still either pre-order it or snag it from Good Luck Press. Go check out all the stuff. Buy all the things. Go grab the Dwelling expanded it thing. As soon as we get off stream, that's one of the things that I'm going to do. From Seb Pines, everything from Good Luck, everything from Will Jobst, everything from Seb. Amazing stuff. Fantastic people. Go listen to the Brain Trust podcast from the beginning. Fantastic design thoughts.
And they finally put out a new episode after like 5 months.
Yeah. So go do that. I don't know if the shirts and the mugs are still available on their Ko-Fi, but support them. Will and Adam do amazing stuff. Specifically for Good Luck Press, go buy all their shit. Everything they do is fantastic and incredibly well thought out. And it's always a pleasure to read their stuff. So that's it. Thank you so much. I don't know.
I know what we're doing next.
I don't want to annoy we should never announce it because we always end up postponing fucking anyway.
You're
so
right.
Like,
fuck you guys.
You'll get what you get when you get it. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. For everyone out there that enjoys our stuff, we really appreciate you. And if you don't enjoy our stuff, that's fine. Go find things that.
Happy birthday.
Not yet, but I appreciate it.
It's close though.
Yeah. And we'll see you all when we see you. Everyone have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.